Some places carry scars you can't see, but the people who live there, they feel them. This is the story of 4 friends, and what they awakened inside apartment 6B. Their names were Jason, Emily, Marcus, and Liam. 4 ordinary 20-somethings, fresh out of college, chasing cheap rent and freedom in a crumbling city. They weren't looking for trouble. They just wanted a place of their own. They found it in a weather-beaten building on the east side, a gray, sagging structure, boarded-up windows, and rent so low, it felt like stealing. The landlord? He smiled too much, talked too little, and when Jason asked why apartment 6B had been empty for so long, the landlord just said, "Not everyone's comfortable staying here," and left it at that. The first few days were golden. Pizza on the floor, music bouncing off peeling walls, the smell of fresh paint, mixing with cheap beer. It felt alive. Until the 3rd night. That's when Emily noticed it. While brushing her teeth, she caught a glimpse of something in the bathroom mirror. Not her reflection. Not quite. Something behind her. Low to the ground, crawling along the ceiling. Blink. And it was gone. She laughed it off, blamed it on stress, bad lighting, lack of sleep. But she didn't tell the others. Not yet. Because things were only just beginning. Night 5. The group was sitting on the couch, half drunk, tossing popcorn at each other. When Marcus asked, "Yo, you guys hear that?" Everyone went still. The TV, muted. And from somewhere inside the apartment, scraping. Long, deliberate scraping. Like nails across wood, dragging themselves across the floorboards overhead. "Probably rats," Liam said, forcing a chuckle. "Old buildings are full of them." But no one really believed that, because they weren't on the first floor. They were on the top. There was no one, and nothing conk above them. They went to bed uneasy that night. Doors locked, lights left on, phones clutched a little tighter under their pillows. Jason tried to sleep. He really did. But sometime around 3 a.m., the scratching came again. Closer now, just on the other side of his bedroom door. He lay there frozen, breath shallow, watching the shadow underneath the crack. It wasn't moving like footsteps. It was sliding, dragging itself along the floor. And then, the doorknob twisted, once, twice. Jason shot up, heart pounding so loud he thought it might wake the others. He grabbed the bat he kept beside his bed and flung the door open, ready to fight. Nothing, an empty hallway, except the floorboards were wet, soaking wet, trailing from his door, all the way back to the living room. And the smell. God, the smell. Like wet stone, rotting from the inside out. The next morning, Jason told them everything. Emily confessed about the mirror. Marcus said he thought he heard someone breathing inside the walls. Even Liam, the tough one, admitted he woke up to something whispering his name. The group made a pact. They would stick together, stay up all night if they had to, leave if things got worse. But it was already too late. Night 6. They armed themselves. Flashlights, bats, kitchen knives. They set up in the living room, backs to each other, surrounded by a ring of light, music blasting, adrenaline surging, waiting for something, anything. And at 2:57 a.m., it came. The lights flickered once, twice, then died. The whole apartment plunged into thick, suffocating darkness. The music cut out. In the silence, they heard it. The slow scrape, the wet slap of something moving, not walking, crawling, getting closer. Jason fumbled with his flashlight, hands trembling, and flicked it on. The beam caught something, just for a second, something clinging to the ceiling. Long, jointless arms and legs, a twisted head, no mouth, no eyes, just torn skin, where a face should be. The thing moved like a spider, twisting, jerking, dragging itself toward them. Jason screamed. Marcus bolted for the door. Emily froze, her hands clamped over her mouth. Liam, and he was the only one who reacted fast enough. He grabbed Emily, yanked her toward the hallway, shouted for the others to run. They sprinted down the stairs. 4 flights, faster than they ever thought they could move. The thing didn't chase them the way a human would. It skittered sideways, down walls, over ceilings, always watching, always waiting. At the front door, Jason threw his body against it, but it wouldn't open. Deadbolted, from the outside. Marcus was screaming now. "It's not letting us leave. It's not letting us leave." The crawler slipped into the stairwell above them, dragging itself downward. Slow, inevitable. Jason grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall, smashed the glass, bashed the lock until it cracked. They burst out into the freezing night air, gasping, crying, half collapsing onto the sidewalk. When they looked back, apartment 6B was just dark, silent, like nothing had ever happened. The police didn't believe them. No one did. The landlord disappeared, moved out of town, never heard from again. Jason still has the video footage on his phone. Shaky, grainy, terrifying. One last frame, showing the thing hanging upside down from the ceiling. Watching them leave. None of them ever went back. But every once in a while, when Jason closes his eyes at night, he hears it. The scraping, the sliding, the wet slap of something still crawling. And he knows. Apartment 6B is still there, still waiting, still hungry. Maybe next time, it won't let anyone leave. If you ever lived somewhere that felt wrong, where the walls whispered and the air listened, tell your story below. It might just be more real than you think. And if you made it this far, you're one of us now. Subscribe before it finds you too. Some places are old, some places are forgotten. But Hollow Pines, it was something else entirely. It was a motel just off Highway 22. Broken neon signs, crumbling pavement, rooms half swallowed by weeds and time. Locals joked about it, whispered about it, said it was cursed. But for 4 friends, Ella, Chris, Jordan, and Maya, it was just supposed to be a stopover. One night, that's all. They were driving cross-country, saving money, taking back roads, chasing sunsets and memories. When they saw Hollow Pines, they were exhausted and desperate. A man at the front desk, gaunt, pale, eyes too wide, handed them a rusted brass key. "Only room 9's open tonight," he said. Only room 9. They didn't think much of it. Until later. Until the lock clicked behind them. Until it was too late to leave. The room smelled wrong. Not dirty. Not moldy. Something else. Something sweet. Rotten sweet. Like flowers left to die in the dark. The wallpaper peeled in long yellow strips. The window was cracked. The TV flickered even when it was unplugged. But they told themselves it was fine. They were tired. Overthinking. They laughed it off. Opened beers. Laid out sleeping bags on the stained carpet, trying not to notice. The cold spot in the center of the room. The one you couldn't explain. The one that stayed no matter how high they turned up the heat. At 2:34 a.m., Ella woke up first. Not from a sound, not from a dream, but because her skin was cold. Icy cold. And something was breathing right next to her ear. She sat up so fast she got dizzy, looked around. Everyone else was asleep. But across the room the cracked bathroom door was open now. And it had been closed. She was sure of it. The darkness behind that door was wrong. Too deep. Too black. Like it wasn't a room anymore. Like it was a tunnel. Leading somewhere else. Somewhere she didn't want to know. She shook Chris awake. Told him what she saw. He laughed it off. Sleepy. Careless. "You're just freaked out," he said. "We'll leave in the morning." And he rolled over. But Ella couldn't sleep. Not after that, because when she looked at the bathroom door again, it wasn't open anymore. It was gone. There was just a hole there now, a black seeping wound in the wall, and from that hole something was stepping out. It wasn't a person. It wasn't anything she'd ever seen. It was tall, thin, skin stretched tight over jutting bones, its face wrong, no eyes, no mouth, just folds of loose, shuddering flesh. It didn't walk. It drifted. It pulsed, and it was coming straight for them. Ella opened her mouth to scream, but the thing reached her first. It touched her forehead, cold fingers like frozen worms. And suddenly, she wasn't in the motel anymore. She was somewhere else, buried in blackness, hearing hundreds of voices whispering her name, thousands of hands brushing against her skin, tugging, pulling, begging her to stay. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't move. Then, just as fast, she was back. Back in the motel room, gasping, crying. The others were awake now, Chris, Jordan, Maya, staring at her like she was crazy. But behind them, the thing was still there, waiting, watching. And when Maya turned to look, it touched her too. She collapsed, screaming, convulsing on the floor. The motel walls began to melt, dripping black tar. The floor shook, the lights exploded one by one, and somewhere, deep inside the dark, someone or something was laughing. They ran. They didn't pack. They didn't grab their phones. They just ran. Out the room, down the broken steps, into the night. Behind them, room 9 burned. Flames shooting into the sky, thick and black like the night itself was choking. But when they looked back from the highway and there was no fire, no light, no motel, just a stretch of empty forest. Silent, still, like hollow pines had never been there at all. Today, Ella doesn't talk about it. Jordan moved 3 states away. Maya doesn't sleep anymore. And Chris went back. They don't know why. Maybe to prove it wasn't real. Maybe to finish what started that night. But no one ever saw him again. No missing persons report. No calls. No trace. Nothing. Only a voicemail, left on Ella's phone at 3 a.m., the night he disappeared. 12 seconds of static. And then a voice, soft, distorted, whispering, "Room 9's open again." Some things live in the woods and some things leave them. They were looking for silence. Kara, Noah, and Ben. 3 friends who needed to escape. From school. From noise. From the weight of everything. So they rented a cabin. No Wi-Fi. No neighbors. No phone signal. Just trees. Sky. And a long gravel road that disappeared into nowhere. The cabin was old, but beautiful. Creaky floors, stone fireplace, and windows that looked out onto a wall of pine trees. Thick. Endless. Like the woods were always watching. The first night felt perfect. They made a fire, told stories, laughed about nothing. Kara even said, "We should stay longer." But Noah didn't smile. He was staring at the trees, and when they asked why, he just said, "Did you hear it too?" That's when it started. The sounds. First, soft, like something stepping on dry leaves, far off. Then, closer, snapping twigs. Then, whispering. Voices, not clear, not loud, but there. Noah swore someone was walking between the trees, circling the cabin. Ben said it was wind, or animals. But Kara believed him. The second night, they tried to prove it. They grabbed flashlights, walked out past the cabin's edge, into the tree line. At first, it was quiet. Too quiet. Even the crickets had stopped. No moon, just stars, and the breath of cold air sliding through the trees. Then they saw it. A figure, far between the pines, still, tall, not moving. It looked like a person, but its proportions were wrong. Too long, too thin, its face hidden in shadow. They stared. It didn't move. So they turned around, started walking back. Fast. No one said a word. But Noah looked back one last time, and the figure was closer, still not moving, still watching. That night, they locked every door, closed the blinds, left every light on. They didn't speak about what they saw, not really. They pretended everything was fine, but none of them slept, because something had changed. At 3:11 a.m., Kara woke to the sound of footsteps inside the cabin. Slow, deliberate. She held her breath, listened. It wasn't Noah. It wasn't Ben. The steps were too slow, too heavy. She opened her bedroom door and found Noah standing in the hallway, white as a ghost. "It came inside," he whispered. Ben was gone. His bed was empty, sheets cold. The back door was open. There were footprints leading back into the woods. They followed them with flashlights and fear that felt like drowning. The footprints went deeper, past the creek, through the ravine, into a part of the woods that didn't feel real anymore. The trees were tighter, the air colder, and then the path stopped, because the prints just vanished in the middle of a clearing. But Ben's voice was still calling out, not screaming, just whispering, over and over. "Come closer. Come closer." Noah took a step forward. Kara grabbed him, begged him not to go, but he said, "It's not Ben. I know it's not Ben, but it sounds like him, doesn't it?" He turned and ran into the dark. Kara screamed after him, flashlight swinging, tears in her throat. And that's when she saw it, in the trees, watching, the same figure, closer this time, its arms longer than they should be, fingers dragging the ground. And this time, it was smiling. Kara ran, tripped, fell, ran again, back to the cabin. But the door was open, lights flickering, whispers crawling through the air like vines. "Come closer." She slammed the door, locked it, backed into the corner, and waited. At sunrise, Kara was found wandering the road, alone, bleeding, muttering Noah's name. She never spoke about what happened in the woods, not once. But the cabin? It's still there, rotting quietly. Ben and Noah were never found. Sometimes hikers go missing in those woods. Sometimes their phones are recovered. And the last photo on the roll? A tall figure, in the trees, too thin, too wrong, smiling, and always just a little bit closer than before.